In this video I'm going to briefly explain how to brew or how to whisk a delicious bowl of thin tea usucha matcha. First, what you're going to need is your tea bowl, a tea whisk to whisk the matcha, a tea scoop to measure the amount of tea powder, and your matcha. Now, these cans is what the tea comes in when you purchase it from the tea crane, and they have an internal plastic lid to keep the matcha safe from oxygen. So it's an additional safety to keep your matcha fresh, and you might want to keep your matcha in these cans for usage. So the first thing you want to do when brewing a bowl of thin tea is you might want to heat up the tea bowl. So you add some hot water to the tea bowl, and you also soak the tea whisk in it so that the tines of the tea whisk can steep, so that they can soften and that the bamboo becomes more flexible, and simultaneously the tea bowl becomes warmer, and so it also maintains the heat of the tea when it's brewed more longer. So when the tea bowl is warm, I suggest you pour the hot water out and then use something like a clean towel to wipe the inside of the tea bowl dry. Next, what you're going to do is to add some tea powder to the tea bowl, and for a bowl of thin tea, what you want to do is you want to use this front part of the tea scoop to measure 1, 2, and a half. I always use the side of the tea scoop to cut the tea powder open, and if there are any lumps in there, to break those lumps up. And then once that is done, I will pour hot water. And so in here we've got about 1.5 grams of tea powder, and the water is going to be about 70 milliliters that I'm going to add. What you want to do is to pour as much water until there are only a few dry spots left. That should give you enough water in balance with the amount of powder. Then you're going to use your tea whisk, and you're going to froth the tea going back and forth inside the tea bowl. First you create the froth, and then gradually you lift the tea whisk up gradually so you only touch the surface. And when you're doing this, you can also break up the larger bubbles on the surface so you can give it a clean look. In the end, you write a Z over the surface and bring the tea whisk out from the middle. This collects all the foam and leaves it in a heap in the center, which makes it look more beautiful. And then your bowl of matcha is ready. Several points that I want to point out that are important to keep in mind when whisking The first one is what you often see in videos, to hold the tea whisk from above and to use the wrist to snap and create that foam. Now there are different traditions in tea ceremony in Japan, and the tradition that I practice is called enshuryu. What we do is we hold the tea whisk from the side and we use our whole arm to froth the tea, to whisk. It's a different method. For me that works better. You might want to try it and see if either this or this works better for you. Another thing is, what I often see people do is make a circular motion with the tea whisk. This doesn't whisk the tea very well. What you want to do is to go up and down a straight line, front to back, and you want to make that motion as large as possible. So you see here I'm going from outside at the lower end of the bowl to outside at the higher end of the bowl, and that's basically the motion that I make also when I'm in the bowl whisking the tea. So I'm going larger than the bowl itself. The tines are very flexible, so when they touch the bowl they'll bend, and that bounciness is what is going to create your foam. You also want to make sure that you're keeping the tea whisk straight up and bringing the whole thing front back. You don't want to tilt it over, because that's not going to do anything. So that are a few points that you might want to keep in mind when brewing your tea. And now that your bowl of matcha is ready, enjoy.